everybody. This is Jay and Nichole back with another episode of the Learning Lab. And today we're doing something new. We have a panel of guests, and today we're going to talk about the mental health side of teaching online. We want to talk about the challenges of being isolated and the mental health among online educators. Go ahead, Nichole.
Well, we're very excited today because we've brought in some additional teachers that both of us actually know very well. We have with us Jerna Brink. I know her as Teacher G. And then we also have Tammy and Adam. We're very excited because all of us, including Jay and myself as online teachers, we have all struggled or have had colleagues who struggle with this. And I think it's something that people don't really think about. And I'm really excited for us to really tackle this and, share our experiences and maybe help some people out there who need it, give some tips. And as you listen, we'd love to hear your thoughts as well. So what's the biggest mental health challenge you faced in your teaching journey? Let us start the conversation. So, yeah. Why don't we start first with, let's each one of you tell us who you are, your experience online. Adam, you want to go?
All right, sure. So thank you for the invitation, first of all. Happy to be here, very much so. My name's Adam Carson. I am a teacher online, but specifically I'm teaching accents. So if somebody wants to speak like an American or like a British person, that is what I do. I work mostly with adults, and I do a bit of offline work in the form of workshops for companies as well. So that's me. Yeah.
Very cool. And G?
Yeah. So I've been in education for over 8 years now, teaching offline and then online. I started my online journey with lockdowns, of course, for the center. And then I was fortunate enough to connect with Cole. And yes, I taught through the lockdown. And then when everything reopened, I was trying to juggle both. Then I started leaning more towards the offline side, but I've still taught some online courses in between, and I do have a few private online students still.
Very good.
Excellent.
Well done. And Tammy?
Hi. So I've been in teaching for 7 years, specifically as an ESL teacher. I have lived in Southeast Asia teaching in person. And loved that. And COVID changed the world, So COVID came along, online teaching, and I hated it so badly. I was like, no, I want to go back in the classroom. And now I've been happily teaching for Cole for 2 years online, solidly, permanently, very happy. So crazy, but there you go.
Wow, everybody comes from a very different background and very different aspects. G, I believe now you're at the university level, correct?
Yes, I'm doing English for academic purposes and IELTS. And also, undergraduate achievement, helping them with the English they need for their specific course as well.
Wow, this is a very diverse panel, I believe. I think that worked out really well. Very good. Yeah. So I will let you decide who wants to answer. So I want to know what are, if you can share maybe a specific moment when mental health became a major concern, either for you or maybe a fellow teacher in your field. I know that I have talked to quite a few who have really struggled as well. Let's not name names though, but we can discuss what happened to maybe resonate with somebody else who will come forward at some time. So who would like to share? Oh, now it gets quiet.
To go first?
Oh my gosh!
I feel like I need to do the eeny, meeny, miny, mo like I do my students.
Yes. Okay.
Do we have one of those spinning wheels?
Right?
No, Radna's already talking. Go, Radna, tell us.
Okay. So what was particularly challenging, I think most of us can relate during COVID, was the lockdown, the transition, and the isolation of not having in-person interactions. Now, we think we're getting enough social interaction online, but isn't quite the same. And I think another thing that affects our mental health more than we realize is the lack of physical movement. So when we're sitting still, when we're staring at a screen, that puts a whole different kind of stress on our body, which in turn puts a stress on our mental health. And yeah, one of the most important things we can do is to prioritize exercise as online teachers.
But not everybody likes to exercise.
Yeah.
You know, what?
Can't
You
only
know,
do the things that you like, though.
oh,
Yeah, I
mom,
was going to
stop.
say that. Read a good book, brother. You know.
Yeah.
Well, she has a valid point, though. I think because we are now in our house, in our office, in our house, even that small amount of, exercise or outdoor air that we get just walking to the car, driving through the city, town, or roads, and then walking into the school. I mean, I think we actually really undervalue even just that movement.
Right.
We're
Mm.
walking from class to class, walking around the classroom, going and talking to your colleagues. So I think it's a valid suggestion in the fact that
Sure.
the movement is on the extreme limited now. I mean, that's how I
Right.
see it. And I'm not one to talk because you want to ask how much exercise I get.
Don't your geese chase you around?
Oh yeah, the
She has
geese.
geese.
You have geese.
Okay, G doesn't know that when I moved down south, I actually had to leave the geese up
Oh.
north because of the ferry. But we're getting them again. Don't
Oh,
worry.
yeah.
We
But
will
you're
have
bringing
a
your
fiesta
geese
too.
with you. Oh, that's so cool.
I know, right? Yes. For me, I come from the countryside, so I like farm life, and that's why we moved back onto a
Mm.
farm. So my exercise would be going outside and taking care of our animals.
Yeah.
And for me, that's made a huge difference because I literally live in these four walls of this little itty bitty room, and after a while, you get kind of cabin fever.
Yeah.
You know,
Mm.
you mentioned COVID.
Mm-mm.
During COVID for me, it was really tough because my office was in a room in the house that had no windows.
Ooh.
And I had a lot of business during COVID.
Mm.
I mean, I was teaching way more hours than I wanted. And I remember I had like 3 hours circled on my calendar that were like 10 days away where I would actually get to leave the house. And it didn't happen because somebody had to come to the house to do some work and I had to be there. And I was so beside myself over that. But I find the online teaching in general to be extremely isolating. I, I live in the Philippines like Nichole does, and I just, I just don't go out much. I don't go out much, and I find this really isolating. And I have to, or my wife has to drag me out of the house to make sure I get out. A few times, once in a while.
What about you, Tammy? What has been your experience with transitioning from, you said you used to be, in person, and then you're online, and I know you work a lot of hours for me. So, what's been your experience with that?
Well, if podcast people could see me giggling away, listening to you telling your story. So when COVID came along, I sat up and I was like, but this is my usual life. I'm quite happy not going anywhere, not seeing anyone, not talking to anyone. I mind my own business. I'm very happy. The only time I leave my house is actually if I'm going to work. And so then COVID comes along and it's like, stay in your house. I'm like, yes, I'm so happy. And then I kid you not, I was so excited. And then they have these stickers on the floor. You can't stand so close to me. You need to be over there. Thank you, Jesus, that they're not touching me. So it worked for me. I'm sorry. COVID was like 3 long, hard years for the rest of the world. And Tammy was like, I'm so happy.
Okay, I have to admit the social distancing was my best friend. I don't know what it is about being in Asia in general, but especially the Philippines, but there is no personal bubble. I don't know about the rest of you guys, but like Americans, we have a bubble.
In Vietnam,
We
the same.
don't touch each other. When we're in line, we naturally
Yeah.
give spaces. Even when we sit in
Yeah.
a bus, like we have space. The amount of touchy in the Philippines, I cannot go outside for more than an hour or two. And I'm like, I'm done. I have reached my limit. I'm going to jail if I don't go away from all the people. So the social distancing was
Mhm.
my best friend. I agree with her on that one, 100%.
Yeah.
100%. What do
I'm
you
a
think,
very
Ad?
sociable person. Yeah. So for me to stay indoors and to not hang out with people, it was really challenging. I like to go out and socialize. So yeah, that was tough.
I can vouch for that
Yes,
for you.
Adam.
What about you, Adam?
Well, I'm thinking about the time of COVID, and I kind of welcomed it, but for different reasons, I suppose. I was teaching. First of all, I spent 6 years in Southeast Asia. I lived in Taiwan, and then I decided to move to Europe, to the Czech Republic specifically. And because I was new there, so I started teaching for a school, for a local school. Uh, and the first year was absolutely dreadful because I was teaching 8 hours a day every day. And I did it for a year,
Oh,
and
that's tough.
the salary was very, very minuscule. And so I was just burning out essentially. I was like, this is just terrible. Can't do it for much longer. And so when COVID came, it was a bit later than that. I was trying to essentially get more into online teaching anyway, because it saved me time on travel between different clients. So I welcomed it for that reason. So I was kind of happy with that. But then, of course, when it was going on for a bit too long, it was isolating. I like working out, so I do take breaks. I do my exercises. That's one thing that definitely helps for sure. If I were to sit 8 hours a day, I would probably go bongo, crazy, bongo.
Yeah.
And
Oh no,
then
we
in
say
terms of
bonkers.
okay, and
Mm.
then in terms of business, because what I didn't mention is, in addition to accents, I also teach communication skills. So when you have a presentation,
Ah.
you need to have a negotiation with somebody. I can help you out with that as well. And so I decided to basically start doing offline workshops where I would invite people to come and learn. And that would be my way of getting that offline experience, moving around, being on a stage, talking to people, mixing it in when we're not allowed to talk about exercise. So it was like a business way of getting that movement in.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Yeah, see,
Yeah.
I didn't really mind too much like not being around people. What bothered me is not that I couldn't go outside, was that I was told that I couldn't go outside.
Right.
So that was like
Right.
that was my
I mean, that
problem.
was a big
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like,
The boss of me.
I can, those memes where they said, "Can you stay on this deserted island for a year and make $1 million?" I'm like, no problem. But the being told that I can't. Well, see, what a lot of people don't know about me is one of my hobbies is I ride a very large motorcycle. So I ride a big bike, and
Chopper.
so Z900, Kawasaki 900. It's
Amazing.
actually 946 cc's, so it's quite large. For here, the Philippines especially.
Yeah.
Because they consider a
Fantastic.
big bike like 200 cc's. It's funny.
Right.
And I'm like, that's what my kids trained on.
Yeah.
Whoops.
They see me rolling.
Right?
They say-
So the fact that I couldn't just go out and, crack on, it was like, it was not cool. Other than that, the social aspect, not too terrible for me. It was being told that I couldn't when I wanted to. I think that was the big issue for a lot of people with COVID, to be honest, was that it wasn't really being home because you had your family.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, some of us don't get along with our family, but it was more of you couldn't go when you wanted to. And that was the mental, for me, that was the mental trigger.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
And yeah, I think the whole COVID experience was a big part of the online teaching experience in general. That's when people made the switch, and many people did so under very stressful circumstances. Some were waiting for things to reopen, some immediately jumped on and decided to go online, but for others, it was kind of a reluctant choice that they had to make because of the circumstances. And I think one thing that a lot of people struggled with was onboarding with the tech, just the technological aspect of that.
Mhm.
Some of us are not very happy and very techie people. So, yeah, that in itself was challenging for, I think, many educators.
it's still challenging for me, a non-techie chick. It's still very challenging online teaching, because that's one guarantee of change is technology and just constant. So yeah, that's a bit of a mental health issue for me, is every time they want to improve something, they change the whole arrangement, and then the button's no longer there. It's now, you got to now look for it. It's a different
Yeah.
color. It's in a different place. And I'm like, oh, why?
Stop it with the updates.
Oh, and then
Man,
because you're not in a school in person, you're not getting the, okay, let's have a meeting on how the new tech works.
no,
Right.
there's
Yeah.
no such meeting. It's
Yeah,
like,
figure-
figure it out for yourself, Tammy. But Tammy's brain doesn't work that way. Otherwise, it would be easy for me. But no, my brain doesn't work that way. You're either good
Yeah.
at certain things or you're not, and I ain't.
So
Perhaps.
I think, go ahead, Adam.
Sorry, no, I just wanted to make it. Well, I'm not even sure if I should call it a joke, but perhaps when AI replaces us, we all have to go back to offline, and then we won't have that problem anymore.
That's not funny.
No, AI can't
That's very dark,
replace
I know.
us. Adam, AI can't replace us. There's no way that they can duplicate my attitude. Sorry about it. My
I
kids
don't know
love
if they
me,
have
so no.
attitude algorithms.
Do they have a Tammy voice? Is there a Tammy option voice? In AI, you can choose your voice, right?
Yeah.
Could you
So
imagine?
I'm curious what you guys do. How do you, because I have a hard time with this. How do you create a boundary? How do you separate when you're teaching online? How do you create a boundary between your professional and personal lives? How do you do that? I'm not very good at it. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what you mean exactly.
So
I-
if you teach at home like you do,
Mhm,
I'm assuming you're teaching at home. How do
I
you
am.
how do you cut work off and become Tammy's personal life? How do you do that?
Oh, you see, I'm so me all the time. There's no so I finish my memos and I log off my computer and I walk out the door, and so that's why I'm struggling with but I saw Gerna nodding. So I think she might
Yeah.
understand your question more than me, because to me, I don't know. I don't change.
So your personal life and your professional life have kind of blended together.
No, they are
You just-
together.
Mhm.
It is the
Okay.
same. When,
Okay.
like, for example, I spoke to my daughter this morning and she was like, "Oh, it's Thursday. How are your classes today?" And then I rattled off the name of my students today and the lessons planning that I was going to do. And so for me, I think it's all part and parcel of who I am, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Maybe I'm
Good.
annoying. Maybe I'm
So
annoying
the-
because I'm always teaching.
So
I
there's a
have a-
work
I have a
Tammy
little
and a
trick to
personal
it.
Tammy. They're the same Tammy. Is that what you're saying?
There's only one Tammy.
Yeah.
All right. Got it.
No worries.
Check.
Mm.
I have a little trick to it that I use, which is change of clothes.
Oh,
Right?
you and I are the same mind. I have a specific shirt. It's my teacher shirt. When I put it on, I'm in teaching mode. It
Yeah,
even
What a
says
great
exactly.
idea.
Cole's English.
What a
Woman.
really good
I
idea.
only wear this when I'm here. It's like my teacher hat, but physical. it's a complete mental
Mhm.
shift when I put it on. Sorry, I didn't mean to take
Mhm.
over.
No, so
Time when it
totally
was
true.
it was tough for me when I lived in the previous place I stayed at because I had a studio space. So my bedroom and my computer, my teaching station were in the same room, so I could always
Right.
see it. Now, at least I have separate rooms, so it's not in my face the whole time. I feel like there's a bit more
That
space. So
helps
I
too,
think
yeah.
the physical space and the setup of the space makes a huge difference as well. And then the other thing
Absolutely.
is, of course, being available at all times. And I think this is also to do, online teachers sometimes have more direct contact with parents, and we're in different time zones. And so a lot of us maybe feel that, when the phone pings, we need to instantly pick it up and we need to instantly reply. But very seldom does anything teaching related constitute an emergency. And we need to remind ourselves that no, it's not an emergency. If for some reason they didn't complete, why they didn't they complete this page today as per the, I don't know, lesson memo? That's a conversation that could wait until tomorrow if needed. It's very seldom ever an emergency. So emergencies would be something like reschedule, or, we have something coming up this weekend. Could we change it to this day? And even then, there are still contactable hours and non-contactable hours. And I struggled a lot with that because I'm more on the side of my phone pings, I need to respond right away. So,
Absolutely. I am that way.
Absolutely.
If I
yeah.
have a message, I feel like I have to
Mhm.
respond to it when I have a minute.
Well,
Even
remember
if
when you were working for me, I had to go into the teachers group and I had to say, you guys need office hours. I'm not expecting you to
Yeah.
answer outside. The parents are taking advantage of your
Yeah.
availability. I just, when you're
Mhm.
sitting down to prep
Yeah.
to when your classes are over, that's their window.
Yeah. And sometimes they would get free lesson
Yep.
content because they would hit me up with a grammar question
Yep.
that
right.
should be,
In
they're welcome to
class.
ask me. And that's up to us to set the boundary to say, you know what, next time, Tuesday 2 p.m. when student, let's just say student Bob has his lesson, please pop in and we can discuss it. That's
I
maybe
might be
another
weird
way of
in
handling
this.
it. Would you
Sorry to
say?
interrupt. No,
Yeah.
I want to say I might be weird in this, but for me, it takes a lot to switch tasks, right? That's transition between I'm working on something and then I have to do another task. That switch is very expensive for me mentally. So I
Mental
tend
fatigue.
not to, right. So I tend not to do that. So for instance, if I'm about to look at my emails or messages, then I'm doing that for, let's say, 30 minutes or an hour. And if somebody's calling me during that time, that's not the time for me to pick up phones. So I'm not doing that because then it's email, phone, maybe a memo task, maybe a different task, maybe
Mm,
somebody, and I'm just overwhelmed and I hate that feeling. So I tend to basically bulk activities together.
yeah.
That's my strategy.
I picked up some good things here.
Yes,
The
Sammy.
changing the shirt thing is a really good idea, actually.
I have to. If I'm not
Mm.
wearing this, I'm not in the teacher mentality.
I would say
it's-
that should be one of the takeaway tips is definitely, yeah, uniform.
funny enough,
Yes, essentially.
this is an argument, believe it or not. Me and my husband don't argue
Mm.
very often, but this was the argument is this is why I have to have a separate room with a door, right? So I can close it and
Yeah.
I don't see the office. But if he sees me in my shirt, he knows I'm in
Mm.
teaching mode. He's supposed to not bother me.
Yeah.
So it's like a
Yeah.
signal, not just for me, but for everybody in the house as
Oh,
well.
this could be a very challenging one for online teachers who cohabit because many have partners who do not respect that, who will
Yep.
come and quickly ask you something. And that is just a big no in the
Yep.
online, professionalism. And yes,
Right.
I think many of us have had that experience of a partner who doesn't understand that boundary,
So
and
Our
that
son.
can lead to a
it's a
lot of mental
signal for him as well.
stress.
Like it's a signal
Yeah.
for me that this is the mode I'm in, but it's also a signal for him when he sees me wearing it. He knows that I'm
Yeah.
I'm in teaching mode. It's time to
And
leave me
I'm
alone.
just I'm thinking back now of the lockdown times, and so many of us were locked in with other people, and we had to co-share a space. And sometimes you'd have two people co-teaching in different, could you please not speak so loudly, that just like that dynamic in
Yeah.
itself, that's actually crazy. It seems so crazy now that I think back on that, reflect back on that time, and how many people there had, circumstances that we can't actually even imagine.
Well,
Just don't respond. I had a few couple of situations like that as well, and if it was absolutely not necessary, and I was on a phone, let's say, sorry, on a call with a client, for instance, and somebody like popped into the room and looked at me and said something, and I just ignored them essentially. It's a
Yeah.
bit brutal, I
Yeah.
suppose, but they
Yeah.
did it a few times and they realized this is not the time for that.
Yeah.
It's that with adults that works, but if you're a teacher, an
Mm.
online teacher, and you have kids, because I
Yeah.
have a 9-year-old son, so they know, everybody knows in the house when the door's closed, I'm teaching, leave me alone.
Mhm.
He'll knock on the door anyways.
ah,
Oh,
And I don't
what was really
answer.
humorous? Yes.
Oh, I'll
Sorry, go
knock.
on, Jay.
I won't answer. He'll knock again. I won't answer. And then he'll peek his head in. He goes, "Are you teaching?" And I ignore him. And then next thing I know, he's standing right next to me, looking at me and looking at my screen to see if I'm teaching.
Just hovering.
Oh,
My students know him by now, so it's
yeah.
not a professionalism problem as much as
an annoyance one.
respect the door.
Yeah.
Respect the
And
door
I think
being closed.
if it's
Or lock
kids,
it.
students are a little bit more understanding as well, and it's a little bit
Mm.
more sweet, and it's not the same as um, another adult coming into the
Mhm.
screen. It's also
Sure.
not as threatening from the parent of that. Say if you're teaching a younger learner, from the parent of that learner's perspective, that can also be a no-no. But from the other side, from the teacher side, I've seen a lot of very strange things. I've seen grandpa walk past the student in, in his boxer. I think we've all seen some
Hence
things.
the update to the terms of service
Yeah.
about clothing
Oh,
articles.
yes. You had to put that in the contract
I
for the parents,
did.
right?
Yes,
I
I
saw
did.
grandma's side
She
boob a
had to
couple
make a
months ago.
rule.
I had to make a rule where so that way teachers could
Uh,
end class without refunds. I'm like, come on, y'all. Like, be aware of what's in your camera field. I can't tell you how many grandpas and boxers.
Oh, yeah.
And
Well,
yeah, it's been
I
interesting.
caught a side boob the other day, or a couple months ago, actually. And I'm like, oh
I
my
believe it.
gosh. And then, when during COVID, when my son was doing all online classes, I was that grandpa. I completely forgot. I took a shower. I'm wrapped up in a towel and I walked right behind
oh,
him when he's in class. And I just hear, Dad.
That's horrible. So my next question, because like I said, we all have had very unique experiences, stuff that just doesn't happen when you're in a physical brick and mortar, school
yeah.
setting or office setting. What do you think about this? So I think that the schools also expect so much more from us. Do you think platforms or schools, like online schools in particular, do you think they do enough to support mental health, or do they have a responsibility towards mental health at all?
Yeah, do they even? That's
the question, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if you're working for one of these online schools, you're just a contractor. I don't think the onus is on them. I think we have to take care of ourselves.
Well, that brings me to my next question, because I actually agree with you, because I think a lot of people forget that when you're an online teacher, 90% of the time, even if you're working for an online company, you're working as a contractor. So you're still self-employed.
Mm,
So having, now that we've brought that to the forefront, what responsibility do you think we as educators have to advocate for mental health in professional spaces at all?
yeah. Some companies can be very strict when it comes to, for example, even if you're just taking a sick day, they want to see a doctor's letter. And, for many of us, if you've ever been sick, so in other words, all of us have been too sick to actually go to the doctor, especially just for the sake of getting a letter. So I think when it comes to little micromanaging things like that, just micromanagement in general can take its toll on anyone's mental health, but also that sort of thing, you should also trust your teachers to be adults. And when they really need to take time off for personal or medical reasons, there shouldn't need to be questions asked. So I'm not saying that people should be discussing their mental health problems with their employers necessarily. But then on the other hand, employers maybe should also then not probe too much as to why somebody needs to take time off, especially if there's been a traumatic event in their family or something like that. They might not want to disclose that.
I've
Right.
always been
You know,
a big advocate of, take care of yourself first. You know that when you guys are sick or something, I've always let you guys take time off. Family's always first.
Cole has been amazing, and also somebody that I would not mind sharing with, about my personal reasons if I wanted to. But many schools, especially larger organizations, really don't care for the individual. And we can't say that maybe they should in a perfect world, but that's very unlikely to happen. So I wouldn't even broach the subject of mental health with the organization.
No,
like
gosh,
that.
they might not. They might not give you any more students.
And that's the thing. There's a stigma attached.
Right, exactly.
And why is there still? That's my question.
Like we don't exist in the real world like everybody else.
No, you see, I realized I was broken like pretty early on in life. I think when I left home, I made some new rules. The first rule was I will never work on my birthday, ever. I don't care. It's never happening again. Because throughout my entire school life, I wrote exams on my birthday. I thought it was rude. I just thought it was rude. So I decided, right, I will never work on my birthday. And then when I started working, I realized, I need to take a mental health day. So I did. In South Africa, there's a law that you can have so many days for this and so many days for that. And so once a month, I would take a mental health day if I needed it. And I would save them up in case it was like really, really bad because I was a single mom and please, really. So then my daughter comes along, same rules apply. It's your birthday. You're not going to school. Don't be silly. It's not happening. and so that became a rule for her too, is that she would get so excited. Yay. I don't have to go to school. It's my birthday. She was also allowed mental health days. So when she was emotional at school with something happening and did the whole crying of, Mom, I don't want to go to school. I'm like, fine, you don't have to go. But you're going tomorrow. Get yourself together today. You can fall apart for 24 hours. Then you got to gather yourself and let's move on. So
and I think that's a good rule to have. You get a certain amount of time to have whatever it is that you're dealing with, and then you need to
move right along. Yes,
I didn't make my kids go to school on their birthdays either. It was an automatic day off and ice cream.
Really? That's so fascinating.
Oh, yeah. Are you kidding me? I wished, because my birthday's in December. So because it's so close to Christmas, everybody's like, well, you get 2 weeks off anyways. I'm like, so my kids, I'm like, no, it's your birthday. Let's go have some fun. No school.
That's so strange to me. All right. Well, not a terrible idea. I would always be working or at school on my birthday. Never heard about this.
Not to brag, but I worked on Christmas and on New Year's this year.
I actually took some time off. I worked on New Year's. So I guess what we've come to realize is as online teachers, we're self-employed. So I don't think that there's any real responsibility there when it comes to who we decide to work on a platform for. What I do think a responsibility is that I think they have unrealistic expectations on the amount of work that they expect us to work and not allowing us to take the time off when we need. So my issue has always been we can't take time off. It's negative if you take time off. You get less students, they give them away, they punish you. And I'm like, but if I worked as an actual employee, I would have gotten 2 weeks a year. I would have gotten 5 sick days. I would have gotten holiday pay. What is the difference just because I'm not working for you? I should still have the same opportunities to ask for time off. And I think that's the disconnect that we should advocate
Yeah.
for. I think that's
And
where the
it's not-
mental health comes in.
It's not
I
only
think-
missing out on the income from the lessons, it's double punishment, you know. It's also, like you said, giving the students away or, you know, penalizing you in more ways than just not paying you. That's
Mhm.
that's terrible.
Shocking.
Even the because this is one of my pet peeves when somebody infringes on my little 5-minute or 10-minute breaks in between the classes.
Mhm.
I don't give that time away anymore. I do not
Or
give it. I end the class.
There's a couple that drive me crazy. There's a industry standard now has really come along. Remember back when it used to be you had to do the full 30 minutes and the full 60 minutes, like
Mm.
every place you worked for. And then it became you got the 3 minutes and then it was 4 minutes. And now it's really come down to what we've asked for is the 5 minutes for the half hour and the 50 minutes for the 1 hour. You know, so it's you get that passing time to finish up what you need to go take a pee break, whatever it is you need to do, blow your nose, you know.
Yeah.
But there are still, and I think this is a big disservice, there's still a few schools that are following that old model if they're doing the full 30 minutes, the full hour. And if you want
Teachers
a break, you have to miss.
literally don't have a bathroom break. That's
Right.
They expect you to be
Yeah.
to miss an hour of pay or a half hour of pay. And I'm like, I only need 5-10 minutes to go to the bathroom and come back. I mean,
Right.
come on.
Yeah.
I can even eat dinner in that time.
I can.
You know,
Intravenously.
Yeah.
just push it in.
Yeah.
That's so
Oh, there
funny.
was a time when I was-
You just have some. James, can you please make me a sandwich? You know, that's what we need.
Where's the butler?
Yes.
Where's that
Yes,
butler when you need him?
exactly.
Right.
He's on a mental health break.
So why do you think teachers are so afraid now? I mean, it's 2025. What do you think is holding back teachers ultimately from speaking about mental health challenges?
Yeah, I think one thing is because parents entrust us with their children. They think of people who have a mental health challenge as somebody who's going to snap and go psycho and maybe yell at their kid or have inappropriate behavior. And that's the whole irony is if our mental health is respected and if we do get to take the time that we need, then that is less likely to happen, right? So it's kind of ironic, but yes, I think the big thing is because we're supposed to always keep it together so that we're safe people for their children.
In my
Maybe you should snap
experience,
at the children sometimes, no?
You were saying, Tammy, in your experience?
I forgot what I was saying. I didn't hear what Adam said.
He said,
Oh, I was just suggesting that
repeat
maybe sometimes you should snap at your students.
I
Yeah.
did today. I did
It's
today. I
warranted.
said to my student today, listen, would you like us to end this lesson and I'll just teach your brother? And he looked at me and he said no. And I said, well, first of all, the way you're behaving is shocking, brother, like really. So either be in the class or out. And the next minute the duvet was off and he was right there. And I was like, okay, now we can carry on. So,
There you go.
so no, listen, I'm me all the time. Like I said, no, if kids are misbehaving, they get spoken to going, oi, 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 no, what are you doing? That's just not nice. And I'm not going to teach you if you're going to behave like this. And his mom is sitting right there. Do you understand? It's not just me being like attitudey. It's like honestly saying to the student, do you want to be here? Because if not, I'm also not. Because teaching is hard. The student needs to want to learn. Otherwise, I can't help you.
I think
And-
it becomes difficult for teachers to, online. I think that's part of the mental load and burden. It's we're not there to enforce, hey, it's time to sit down, pick up your
Right.
pencil. It's time
Yeah,
to
I'm
work.
not your mom.
Yeah, I'm not your mom, right? You know, but at the same time, parents are there expecting us to take care of something when they're right there.
Because discipline starts at
Yeah.
home, but they think discipline starts at school. And that is a big, big disconnect between teachers and parents.
Mm.
I think it can cause a little bit of mental strain because you want to do well for your students. And yeah, I think it can be an issue where the students misbehave in class, where do we start? Where do we go? Who do we talk to? But really, when it comes to mental health, I think what G is saying is correct, that they look at us as somebody who's not safe to be around. And I think that's where the stigma comes in.
I just remembered what I was saying about that, is that also in my experience of teaching in Southeast Asia, they really do hold teachers to a higher standard, just naturally.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Because you are a teacher, you are naturally just like put on this pedestal.
Yeah.
And
You can't be seen at the grocery store crying.
Yeah.
Yeah, parents, what you
down
see
bad crying
here,
at the gym, you can't be doing any of that.
what, you want to say, hey, parents, what you see here when we're in class, this is a big facade. No, we're ready to crack at any minute.
Right. Sometimes
Yeah.
we need that 5-minute passing time to like,
Oh.
5 minutes to cry.
okay, collect myself. Okay, let's go.
You have no idea what's going on 5 seconds after this class. You have no idea.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I even, that's funny that you said that, because even adults, like parents, the respect issue is a bit different in different areas of the world. And I'll even be called teacher, like even when they message me teacher, and I'm
Right.
like, cool.
That
Yes, I
might.
am.
Yes, I am,
For
right?
those that don't know, but for those that don't know, let's explain, Cole. The name teacher on its own is the same as someone calling you doctor.
Right.
Doctors
Title.
are qualified, high up their people. So when someone addresses you as teacher, that's what they're doing. They're like, hey, president.
I think it's because they value education so much.
Yeah, it's a very big cultural difference. I think
Yeah.
some countries definitely put a higher value on teaching as a profession, and it also shows, it reflects in the students in their academic performance as well.
As
Or
well as
they're-
the salaries.
Yeah. Well, also the amount of online lessons they're willing to pay for to get their child ahead.
To give you a contrast, here in Czechia, in the Czech Republic, there's a saying, and the saying goes, whoever doesn't know how to do whatever teaches.
I've heard that one before. We say that back home too.
Oh, yes.
Which is just quite different than Southeast Asia or, Asia in general.
We phrase it differently.
Those
We
who
do.
can't teach.
Yeah, those who
Right.
can't
There
Those
you
teach.
who
go.
can,
Yeah,
those who can do, those who can't teach.
teach. Yep, that's what we
Yeah.
say.
That's yeah.
And it's
Right.
funny
So,
because
no.
yeah, in our country, teaching has been extremely devalued. It's to the point now where teachers are leaving in droves, and even like teachers here from the Philippines are now being brought in by the
Right.
truckload to the
States,
US
yeah.
to fill in the gap, because our teachers are leaving like it's on fire.
Well, the whole world came to this conclusion during COVID, short-term memories, I think everybody is taking some sort of something. Because they all forgot. It was all, oh, thank you to the nurses and the medical workers, and oh, you're so brilliant, and the hours that you work in, and you should be paid so much more. Have they increased the nurse's salary? No. What about the ambulance people? No. And oh, teachers, praise the Lord for teachers. What would our kids do not being able to go to school? Teachers are so undervalued. Hello, are you paying the teachers? No.
Yeah.
So
I think that's when they also realize that teaching is also child minding. And, for many parents, even with their kids at home, they were just so relieved to put the kid with somebody else on a screen for an hour so that they can
Get
also
things
have
done.
their mental health break.
quickly have a bath, without the kids there. Yeah, I'm a glass of wine.
Yeah.
So, do you guys have maybe any simple suggestions that some of our teacher listeners can maybe implement, use?
Everybody give one.
Yeah. Oh, there we go. That's a good one.
You start, Jay. He who gets the vision gets the job.
Okay. My health tip would be learn how to say no. That would be my
Nice.
Absolutely.
learn how to say no. You've got to really work hard to say no or not answer that message from the parents
Yeah.
at 11 o'clock at night. That would be mine.
Yeah. During COVID as well, a lot of people were asking for discounts. And yeah,
Yeah.
I was a bit of a sucker. And then one day, what really got to me is one of these students who couldn't really afford the lesson, during the lesson, flipped open a box of takeout pizza that probably cost more than what I was getting. And that's just when I would like, not that the kid doesn't have a right to eat, but it was that thing about the values,
Value.
right? So,
Right.
yeah. I also deserve to eat. And yeah, that was, and then I decided no more discounts.
Right. Good
So
for you.
value your services, value yourself. Very good. Very good. For me, it's actually is this. So for me, I have a mental signal for myself of I have to do block times. So I have a time when I'm on and I have a time when I'm off. I have actually saying for this that I can't say on the podcast, but hey, when I'm on, and when I'm on,
Say it. Say it.
are you serious?
No, don't. I have no idea what the saying
No,
is.
basically I say
Maybe
when
not.
I'm on, and when I'm off, off. So I've learned this, but I've learned it the hard way because I really became just overwhelmed to the very extreme. So this is my signal and my family's signal. When this comes off, I'm done. I answer the phone for a select few people that I consider more than just either an employee or a parent. They've been with me long enough to be a friend. But when I'm on, I'm on. When I'm off, I'm off. That's the boundary I have to have. Otherwise, that's my tip.
Yes.
What do you got, Adam? Not to put you on the spot.
No, that's fine. I'm
putting you on
thinking
the
about
spot.
two things. One would be exercise, even if it's
I second that.
five push-ups in those 5 minutes, whatever. The other one that I was thinking about was make sure that whatever you do, it's worth your time. Meaning, if your parents, if parents want to contact you, make sure that your hourly wage covers that, or have an extra fee for being on WhatsApp or whatever.
Yeah.
Like if it's bothering
Yes.
you, and if you're not being paid for it, then don't do it. If they really want to contact you, charge them.
Above and beyond services warrants above and beyond pay. So, and I like that idea of having an extra added on subscription to,
Right.
to have that kind of access.
Coaches do that. I do coaching as well, and coaches do that.
You couldn't bill them every time they send you a message, but you have to work it into their package before.
Yeah, you can make it a package upgrade where it's only email access, or it's social media.
Yeah, like it's in when we're talking about communication skills and negotiation skills. There's a technique called accusations audit. An accusations audit essentially means that you're saying the bad thing the other party probably already thinks anyway. And that takes away sort of the emotional impact of it. Let's say we have a conflict and you think I'm the worst employee that you've ever had. I'm always late. I just don't care about the job. And this is what you think. And I come to you with something like, I need your help with something. In your head, this is already present. So the accusations audit is I say something like, well, listen, you probably think I'm the laziest person that you've ever met and that I don't respect you and, I'm not putting enough effort into this. But blah, 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 blah. And so now we're on the same page because I know what you feel, essentially.
You've taken all the ammunition away.
There you go. And so with these, extra charges, let's say, it works the same way. If you think about it and you put it on your terms and service saying, if you want extra time from me to answer your WhatsApp messages on a Sunday, it's covered in this package.
Yep.
If not, then no. But Jay's right. You can't make it really, in the moment. It's like you have to be.
No, it's part of a package.
It has to be a free. Yeah.
It's like when I do like the homework upgrade, and I've also recommended to a few teachers. Wish I had thought of it before I offered it as part of my service. Ha ha ha. Is like videos, right? The recordings. I personally think that you should charge extra for providing those because of the storage fee incurred and the curation fee incurred. But a lot of us do for homework, as an example. If you want if you want a regular teaching package, fine. If you want to upgrade to include homework, there's an extra fee that's added onto your package, and I do that actually. So yeah, some people will do, especially coaches, they add a fee for if you want just the regular email access, or do you want direct social media access where they will get back to you within a certain time frame that's direct and personal.
Yeah, I mean, it's attention economy, right?
Right. Yeah. Instant gratification is the kind of it's where we live. I mean, look at TikTok.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that one. I haven't heard that one before. An attention economy.
Yeah. What about you, Tammy? What's your tip, your advice?
So, to specifically pick on Adam, he didn't choose one. He actually spoke about 3, and we were supposed to choose one. So the pick on Adam, I hope you feel like a nose, is that you mentioned the one that I was going to. So I've decided what I'm going to do is recap everyone. So, Jay, the Olsen twins were taught by their parents that no is a complete sentence. There's no because, there's no but, there's no and. I'm feeling bad, I can't do it. No. Complete sentence. Yes? Love that. Gonna value yourself. If we don't, how will anybody else? Because people see you the way you actually,
And I have such a big issue with teachers undercutting the industry on forums. Sometimes when people are looking for a $3 teacher, I've even commented and saying, please respect yourself, respect our industry. Don't do this. This is devaluing the whole industry. And I take big issue with that. But yes, there will be some people, and if $3 is what you're paying, then that's probably the service you're going to get. And that's the kind of teacher, because you wouldn't really want your child to be learning from somebody whose position they wouldn't want to be in. So it's like, don't take advice from people whose shoes you don't want to be in. So why would somebody want their child to be spending time and learning from and seeing as a role model somebody who values themselves at that rate? So that's my little side rant. But as for advice, something that actually, and I think Tammy, you're also on the same page with me, is we also can pick our students. So sometimes if it's not, the relationship with the student isn't working, we can refer them to someone else, because at the end of the day, it's an hour, sometimes 2 hours every week that we have to spend with this kid. And so we can choose to spend time with students that we get on with, that we like. It's fair to them. It's fair to us. And with those that we don't really hit it off, it's perfectly fine to refer them to another teacher that might be a better personality match for them.
I think I just recently got one from you, Tammy, didn't I? Yeah. So we try to pass them around a bit when we can. I have, and this is true because I think people underestimate the mental tally it can take to
teaching the wrong student.
The wrong student.
It'll give you anxiety. It'll give you anxiety.
Every day you're just like, oh, I have to do that class.
Yeah, there's sometimes a student before their class comes up, you just know, oh. And Tammy sets beautiful boundaries when it comes to that. She will not put up with a student, and it's also for their own good, refer a student to somebody else who's a better fit. And yes, I've also had to say, no way, Jose.
I think that's a part of the stigma too, though, because people think you're a teacher. How can you say that about a student? And I'm just like, not everyone is for everybody. It doesn't, I'm not saying that this is a bad person. I'm saying that I am not the right person to be doing this class. There is somebody much better. Unfortunately, I have now as an owner, I have had times where I've had to ask a teacher to keep a student for a while until I can move them, which sometimes is unfortunate. But overall, I do try. But I think it's a stigma that teachers feel they can't say no because they're a teacher. They're
We have
supposed
to
to
love
everybody.
child, we can't have favorites and we have to love all children.
No is a
No, we don't.
complete sentence. The sooner you learn it, the happier you will be.
That's right.
Mhm.
That's right. All right, you guys. So I think what we came away with today is that we need to advocate for ourselves more. We are self-employed when we are online for the most part. I know there are some that actually work as employees, but for the most of us, we are self-employed and we need to start valuing ourselves. We need to start taking ourselves into account. We need to start voicing when we need time off, not why, and really putting ourselves in the forefront. I think one of the things that we should also do is a lot of us talk to each other in different groups. I think we should also be a little more sensitive when somebody is showing the signs of maybe needing a break to reaching out because it is so isolating.
Yeah. Yeah. And also be the support that we need. So
Yeah.
offer to cover sometimes, let other teachers know you're available to cover classes for them during this period of,
Exactly. Or
Yeah.
Gerna,
and
can you
make
teach
it
my classes tomorrow?
right.
Can you teach my classes tomorrow, Gerna?
Tomorrow.
What time though?
Actually, yeah, what
All
time?
day.
All day.
All day.
I can teach your classes until 6 p.m. tomorrow if you really need it.
Just kidding. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
But
I'm
you
in
know,
for it.
this
You would
is-
never
this-
talk to me again if you taught my
Oh, right.
students.
Really?
But this is the thing, though. I really think that as isolating as it can be, I think we also need to take advantage of the exact same tools that is making us isolated. Take advantage of those tools to not make ourselves isolated.
Yeah.
In-person contacts, if you can't have them, online ones can be just as beneficial if you choose to use them. I know that I have the best friends online that I have ever had in my life since COVID. Online, and I have never met any of them in person.
Yes.
And I don't
can
know
absolutely
what I
vouch
would
for that as well. That's
right?
true.
Yes. So I think we're missing a big disconnect there as well. So I think, what do you guys think? Is that what we've come to? That we need to realize that nobody can fix it but ourselves. So we need to value ourselves, own the fact we're self-employed, voice that, yes, we need the time off, and reach out to each other to help each other out.
Yeah. And sometimes also in the offline teaching environment, many of us are expats and also new teachers coming in. Invite them out for a drink. Go do something with them because they're coming in lonely. They're dealing with the transition and isolation. So, yeah, be the friend that you needed in your first year abroad. And go first, share first. If you open up first, they'll feel more comfortable to do the same.
Be the friend you're looking for.
Yeah.
All right, you guys. Well, thank you very, very much, everybody. It's been amazing. I really think that a lot of people are going to get some help out of this. I think it was a lot of fun. We got to air a lot of grievances, but at the same time, I think it's letting people see that. I know in my fact, I've had it come up where people have looked at me and like, oh, I didn't realize that. And I'm like, well, there's teacher Cole and then there's Nichole. And the persona that we have to present online is not always what's going on behind the scenes. And I think it's really good that we've been able to show that today. So thank you very much, everybody, for coming on late at night here. And don't forget, you guys, that next week we're going to be talking about setting practical aligned goals across personal and professional life. So we will have a special guest, a life coach and productivity expert will share their favorite goal setting methods to help you make the most of your new year. So stay tuned for our next podcast. And thank you, Adam, G, and Tammy for coming on and just being so brave and sharing your experiences and really just maybe helping out the next person.
Thank you, guys.